You tracked down Marv Albert, NBA on TNT, Hall of Fame broadcaster, and apparently not going to the bubble. Marv, thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
Good, Dan. How are you and your entire crew?
Everybody's
Doing in
good.
these crazy times.
How difficult was it to make that decision to not go to Orlando to do the games?
Well, I was getting actually very excited about the challenge, after it had been discussed how it would be set up, etc. But I started to have second thoughts, particularly with the spike recently in Florida. And I felt to be practical, then I was not sure what I was going to do. And then Jeff Zucker, the president of Warner Media, called, and we discussed it. And he thought the right move would be to pass up on it, and I agree. I'd love to be there, but I think in my age group there are more possibilities. It's a higher risk. But the 79 is the new 78. You realize that?
Todd.
So
I had my mic.
Yeah, I'll be watching it. I hope it gets off. I think that the bubble concept and the parameters set up by Commissioner Adam Silver are on target, but the virus is extremely challenging, particularly in as we all know, in Florida.
But I wondered, I thought initially, and maybe I misread this with Kevin Harlan, that maybe you guys were going to do it from Atlanta, broadcast from there, and watch the games on a monitor. Was that ever a possibility?
That was one of the possibilities, and I think that Turner and ESPN changed their mind. That would bring me back to my early days, like when I was 11 years old, getting interested in sports broadcasting. I would turn down the sound on the TV, and I would do it on my Wolin Sack tape recorder. Be it basketball, baseball. I was very versatile at that time. And I actually got a crowd record. There was an announcer by the name of Les Kiter. I don't know if you know that name.
No.
Yeah, he did a lot of championship fights. He did the Knicks for a year or two. Then did quite a bit of basketball in Philadelphia. But he would do recreations the year after the Dodgers and Giants moved to the West Coast of the games, and in a New York studio on WINS in New York, and would use the crowd sounds. And I did it one year doing the Syracuse Chiefs in Syracuse, and the road games, to save money, were done off a ticker with crowd sounds. And if there was a delay on the ticker, suddenly there might be a slight rainstorm at the ballpark. That actually did not happen. So I thought we might be going back to those days. But no, they're hoping, if all works out, to do it. There'll be, I guess, 3 venues, and it could be as many as 7 games a day. I thought, before this surge came in Florida, I thought the NBA had the best chance, best plan. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think baseball will have a problem, although they're going to put the teams in, into regions. For example, the Mets, Yankees, Boston, Philly, et cetera. But they're staying at hotels, and it's not going to be the kind of bubble that the NBA is set up. And things can happen even, with that bubble. And as far as, NFL and college football, it's a contact sport. I don't know how they're going to pull that off. Hockey too, it's going to be tough, very tough.
Yeah.
Hope they work it out, but it's going to be tough.
How many NBA games have you called in your career?
I've never counted. It must be, it's thousands, I would guess.
5,000, 10,000?
Probably about 5, somewhere in that range, maybe more.
What was the greatest performance you ever called? Greatest individual performance you ever called?
Well, for several reasons, because of the condition he was in, the Michael Jordan, quote, flu or bad pizza game in the finals against Utah. what he accomplished when you watched him. And, people in the stands didn't know what was happening. We were informed that he was not feeling well. He was sick. But he was hunched over. He was helped to the bench constantly. And I don't recall the totals from the box score, but he was extraordinary. I've never seen that type of performance in a big game. I mean, I'm sure players have been ill, while they played, but what he did under those conditions, just to me is the best performance I've ever seen. But more so because of his health at the time. There's been so many. Between Michael, LeBron, and Bird, you go right through it. Walt, Clyde Frazier, Willis Reed, back to those days.
Well, you bring up Clyde Frazier. We're talking to Marv Albert. I still think that Clyde Frazier's performance in Game 7 against the Lakers in 1970 is one of the more underrated performances in the history of the game because Willis Reed, I think he scored 4 points, but the emotional lift, and he was named the MVP of the finals. Right. I think Clyde Frazier put in 36 points, 18 assists. That sound about right, Marv?
Yeah, I think it was 36-19, and then a number of
6 assists, 6 steals.
Yeah. Well, Clyde will agree with you, but no, I do also, and I thought it was an emotional vote because of the inspirational aspect of what Willis did. He was not supposed to play, and he actually did not play in Game 6, and the Knicks got killed. Chamberlain had a big game, but Willis was not supposed to play and walks out, and the Lakers during the warm-ups and came out late just before the anthem, and the Lakers just stopped and stared. They couldn't. I never forget Chamberlain and West, just looking over. They couldn't believe he was coming out to the. I mean, they were really affected by that. And then he goes out, and it was the loudest crowd I've ever heard, at probably anywhere. When he stepped onto the court, and I ended up doing his couple of warm-up shots, and they were going nuts when he hit like a corner jump or a jumper from the foul line, and then he hits his first 2 shots and he's limping around the court, and just hung in there to rebound and box out. He didn't put up the numbers, but the rest of the team, and that was just a great group. It reminds me of. Similar to the Celtics of their great years and the Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs and the Warriors, the way they move the ball, pass the ball, a very smart team, similar to all those teams. It was Bill Bradley and Willis and Dave DeBusschere and Dick Barnett and Clyde and a couple of guys off the bench. He didn't play many bench players. So it captured New York, too, because, first of all, it's their first championship. And that's a team that would have won many more had they not had injuries. They won one other. They beat the Lakers in 5 a couple of years after that.
Yeah, 73. I think, was Willis Reed the MVP of that finals too?
No, he was hurt.
Okay.
They had Jerry Lucas at that time.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Playing center. They traded him for Cassie Russell. But it was Willis MVP. No, he didn't get. He was on the bench, but he didn't get the vote.
Yeah, I thought maybe he'd still get it.
No.
Yeah. Hey, you'll be missed, but I think you're making the smart decision there, as tough as it must be for you, and it's great to catch up with you, Marv.
Thanks, Dan. Always good talking to you. I appreciate it.
That's Marv Albert, Hall of Famer, lead announcer for the NBA on TNT.